Let's be real. We all need to take a break from alcohol. Luckily, Athletic Brewing offers award-winning, great-tasting NA beers for any occasion. Take a break from alcohol with something that tastes great, from their easy-drinking Athletic Light to something a bit more hoppy with Free Wave, or even something dark and bold like All Out. Try Athletic Brewing today by going to unitedwedrink.com/athletic and enjoy free shipping on all orders over $50. That's unitedwedrink.com/athletic. Athletic Brewing, beer fit for all times. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, co-workers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour, more like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of the United We Drink podcast right here on unitedwedrink.com, as well as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike Urevich. It's the holiday season. I'm chipper. I'm cheerful. I'm just saying that a little bit, but it's great to be here with these two gentlemen because they put a little pep in my step. First, Kevin Abbott and Tim Johnson.
Marry something.
It's an honor and a privilege.
I can't even say it anymore because you people always say that and it's lost all meaning.
What do you mean, you people?
Oh,
I mean, you two people.
What do you?
Two humans.
Yeah, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
What
apropos.
I meant was it's a privilege and an honor.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
It's different then.
Yeah,
it's fine.
See it? Totally different. Yeah. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, well, great.
So we are coming off fresh from Thanksgiving, and hopefully you guys had great Thanksgivings and filled with food and family and friends and not any drama, no children meltdowns or too many or any of that stuff. But
I avoid drama by not doing Thanksgiving with family. As much like I love my family, don't get me wrong, but I have not done Thanksgiving with my family in 20 some years. Which is maybe or maybe not the reason why it might be my favorite holiday.
It sounds like you found the cheat code to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's like,
up, down, down, A right.
up,
Yeah.
down, down, left,
Select
right,
start.
BA.
There we go.
Let's start.
Well, my Thanksgiving went off without a hitch. We had just a few people over, and I did my beer brine turkey, and everything was great. In fact, I just finished up the last of the leftovers today, as we record this on the 4th. So I think it was successful, just enough so that I can enjoy the leftovers, which is my favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal, long enough before I get violently sick of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I spent Thanksgiving with my friends that are all beer tenders at a brewery that actually opens up on Thanksgiving. Sometimes we'll do a little potluck or something like that. But more than anything, it was just great to hang out with these friends of mine who also happen to bartend there. But it is kind of nice to remember, some places are open. Service industry is still going. It was actually fairly busy in there. And to me, that was more like, I'm thankful to have friends that, are still doing their job and still doing those things. And so that to me was maybe my favorite part of Thanksgiving Day.
We've seen over the years Black Friday evolve, and it became like Thanksgiving became involved in there, and people had enough of a fit that they kind of backed off of that, and people still complain about Black Friday stuff, like opening early and all of that. And they're like, think about your employees. And I've always been on the side of like the employees that like some of them want to work.
Yeah.
Some of them want to be at a place where they can be around people. Sometimes their coworkers are their friends and like their family, and they can spend some time with some people that they really do enjoy, especially in the service type of industry. Like people always can go out and give a good time to people who don't have family or friends nearby. And I think that that's an admirable thing and shouldn't be forgotten over the holidays. Is sometimes people are working on holidays because they want to, because they work a job that they are aware that they're going to need to and have come to terms with that. We shouldn't just be collectively saying like that the people working on holidays is terrible for those people. Especially when they might not think that themselves.
Well, so one of the things that I've learned over the years, like, so you guys know this is as married guys. Christmas Day, are you going to be able to see every single family? Like, how many Christmases do you have that are not exactly on Christmas Day? Right? Like, there's so many other reasons to have those holidays. So I know plenty of people whose Christmas Day, their Thanksgiving, their whatever are not on the day on the calendar that says that it is.
Yeah.
And so that also means that, like, so like I had an aunt
Also, how many of us celebrate our birthdays on not our birthday?
I don't celebrate my birthday because I'm not 8, but like I had an aunt that worked at a casino, and she's like, the thing is like, you'd be surprised how busy the casino is on a holiday, and B, it's like, yeah, again, you don't need to have Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday. If it's gonna be the entire weekend, you could have it on Friday, you could have it on Saturday, you could have it on Sunday. But also, like, I think people get too wrapped up on like that one day is the only day to do things. And other people are living other lives, right? So like Christmas Day, the majority of the world doesn't celebrate Christmas. Like people have things they want to do. And yeah, man, like I'll do Christmas on December 24th if it means I got to make tips on December 25th, because that helps me pay for my Christmas presents. Like, it's okay to say that. And so I really appreciate what you're saying is like, I'm not saying that we shouldn't look out for people's livelihood and make people feel safe, that they can take a day off and not feel guilty. Like, the idea that has come into, in vogue lately is the floating holiday thing, right? Like whatever day within the 5 days around Christmas is your Christmas holiday. You don't have to take Christmas Day off. You just get one day within, the boundaries. And I think that's kind of the better way to do it, right? If I know I'm going to make fucking awesome tips on Black Friday, I don't need to take my holiday on that Friday, because I know that I can go ahead and take it that Saturday or that Wednesday or whatever.
Yeah. And it's also just like, stop getting all sanctimonious about things that don't impact you. If you're not going to be a Black Friday shopper and you're not going to work on Thanksgiving, awesome for you. Let other people who do care about that for themselves.
I'm going to have to go ahead and disagree with both of you. I think everyone should do things exactly how I want them done. I don't understand where you people are coming from. That's ridiculous. You try to
Keep
say
on
that
throwing away around that you people stuff.
yeah, you think people have agency? No, we all have to do things that are comfortable for me. So stop with you guys.
Kevin, what are you drinking?
So I have several things in my bag as always. I have open a Scaldus Noel. It's a beer I did for Old Favorite Friday, and a beer that I really love, and it felt like it would get me in the mood. But I also have something special. So I have some people that are in my life that generously have given me kind of continuously, like once a year or so, will bring me beers that they like because they're fans of Barrel of Monks. And I want to say this, extremely kind to share anything with me because no one has to do that. But unfortunately, half the beers they give me are adjunct laden beers that on the surface I think sound pretty gross. And it's just something that I kind of put them in my fridge and I drink. For instance, I think this last time they gave me, I think a Dortmunder or at least like a lager, a German lager of some sort. That was perfect. It was delicious. I loved every second of it. And then the other 3 beers they gave me were beers that if I saw them on a Total Wine and More shelf, I would go, no, thank you. In honor of the fact that I think it was now 2 years ago, the last time we did it, our live recording around Christmas and New Year's, where I drank a bunch of gross beers that I would never really force myself to drink. I'm going to let you guys pick my next beer. And because first of all, this is with love and the fact that these were given to me. And I still do want to appreciate the fact that they thought enough of me to give me these beers. But I also don't want to name the breweries because these might be amazing beers. And you guys, all love them. And I don't want to make it seem like these breweries are bad for what they do because I do adjunct laden beers too. So I'm going to describe these beers to you. And it's tough because there's 2 of you. I hope you guys come to some kind of consensus. I don't know if you disagree, then you have to fight to the death somehow.
Can you have a consensus with 2 people?
Yes.
If both people agree.
I have a feeling we probably can agree.
So you're going to, you guys,
it's 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, that's
so
not consensus. That's unanimous, but yeah.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying.
It's a quorum, not a caucus.
As
anyway.
long as you understood what I was saying, the message got across. So I'm going to...
Except that I have 2 electoral votes.
It might possibly.
I'm in the smaller state. We should be weighting it towards me, frankly.
Okay.
I edit the podcast as well, so that gives me an extra vote.
Okay, shut up and let Kevin talk.
I'm going to show you the beers because you're on video, but the people aren't going to see it. So this is one of them. This is intended to be the flavor of a whoopie pie, which I don't really even know what that is. But
is it marshmallow and chocolate?
So this only says milk stout, cocoa nibs, and vanilla beans, which are not ingredients that I would be offended by in a beer. I've used these ingredients, but it's the whoopie pie aspect of it. I don't really know what that means. I've heard that word before, but I don't know if I've ever had a whoopie pie.
Yeah, I don't know what a whoopie pie is.
It's a marshmallow cookie. Essentially, it's two chocolate cakes sandwiching fluff.
Okay, so in the Midwest we call that salad.
Okay,
and you wish I was joking, but seriously, marshmallow cookies. Yeah.
Moving on to number 2. This is a beer that I didn't even know existed from this brewery. I've only known of one beer from this brewery. It is a.
Can you put it back up? I was on Wikipedia.
Oh. It is a Belgian style grisette brewed with spelt, sumac, and strawberry.
I feel like the spelt and sumac are already heavy-handed for this style of beer. Is that fair to say? Like it's already... So
spelt goes hand in hand with grisette to me.
Well, sure. Well, no, not the general style, but like the...
With the other ingredients?
Yes, what
it seems almost unnecessary.
What you're trying to get accomplished with the adjunct additive, spelt and sumac feel both. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, especially because the brewery that shall not be named is not necessarily known for yes.
Those types of beers.
So what do you guys think?
I'm going with B. I want you to start with B. You're going to have both, but I want you to have B first.
No, I'm only having one.
No, come on.
Yes, I'm having one. You guys have to agree.
ABVs.
Yeah.
The grisette's got to be low.
Grisette is 4.2. Stout is 6.3.
Okay, so it's a not a big boy stout.
No, but is it an appreciable difference?
Here's the thing. I kind of want to see his reaction to B because I am more interested in B. Like I would actually look at that and be like, I want to drink that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's going to be a bigger mess of flavors with A. So Like,
Okay. So you
I feel
make.
like sumac and strawberries can kind of go hand in hand with a grisette,
I think
but
I think they can. I think. Okay. No. Okay. So
But will they?
I would say so.
that is true.
I guess here's what I'll say. Mike, you make a compelling argument, and I'm going to say that I was wrong, and he should go with A. What I would ask is that when Kevin does get into B, he at least sends us a video,
Oh, I'm for that.
right?
I can do that.
because I would like to know his response to B. I'm very curious his response to B. But I agree. Let's go with A. Mike, you
We'll
were right.
we'll
There's
also post the video on our social
Oh,
media. So Kevin,
for sure.
also make sure you don't show who it is when you do that later on.
Yeah.
But okay, he's going with
Understood. The beer's been poured, and I will let you know my thoughts as I start to digest this.
Yeah. Cool.
Tim. Looked like you're having a celebration.
I am. So I love celebration. One of my so there's multiple things about celebration to me that like. So first of all, the idea of a fresh hop beer in December already is kind of a mind fuck for me, right? So like in the Midwest, fresh hop beers are August, September.
Well, remember, fresh hop and wet hop are not one and the same.
I know. Well, okay, but what I'm saying is fresh. You can't harvest anything in the Midwest that is fresh in December. The other thing that I would say is that so Derek Almendinger, we'll have to have him on the pod, but at Unmapped, he and I. So what we used to do is we used to always do Twins home opener, and that meant like some days you were wearing shorts and t-shirts, and some days you were wearing parkas. But we used to always do Twins home opener, and we went to a place. So this was April, and they still had Sierra Nevada Celebration on tap, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And Derek's like, "I'm gonna order one. Let's do it." It was really fucking good. It was amazing. It did not taste oxidized. It did not taste old. I was so confused as how you could get that it lasted that long and it was that good. And so I've been so infatuated with this beer ever since. Also, the idea that you can turn an IPA into a beer that you celebrate the holidays with, and I get like the whole piney thing, but that's not what you expect over winter. And then this last weekend, I was in Chicago, and the person that I was with had a celebration in the fridge, and I did not want to take it from her. But it's been on my mind for the last 4 days, and so when I saw it in there, I was like, okay, this is our holiday episode. It's a beer I love. It's a beer I'm always confused by how amazing it is all the time. I'm going to go ahead and have a celebration. And I'm not even pouring it a glass. Like, to me, one of my favorite things about celebration is drinking it out of a can, because it reminds me of like staying around a fire pit with your family, or you're playing euchre with your family, and you don't need all the accoutrement. And so, to me, that's why I love this beer, because it is so amazingly piney and resinous without being too much of either.
I mean,
Ages insanely well, and also, man, I'll just fucking down these things. It's great.
They've only had it in cans for, I think this is either the second or third year that they've done it in cans.
I feel like it's a little bit longer than that, isn't it?
I don't think so, but I mean, feel free to correct me. But man, I just remember like sipping that beer straight out of bottles, those little classic stubby bottles that Sierra Nevada had. Like one of my favorite memories that just is connected to that beer is I think this was before my my first brewery. I was visiting family in Philly in December. I always liked to go up in early December to visit family and see the lights because like people just up north do Christmas better than Florida.
Oh no,
Um,
easily.
and we were going to a pizza joint that was BYO. So I got some celebration to bring to the place with me, and just having some tomato pie and some white pizza with my family at a little place in Port Richmond while sipping on some celebrations was fucking awesome. And like that beer, like, yeah, you're right. Like there's nothing about it that is specifically winter, but there is something about it that is specifically winter. One really quick funny story that Kevin will know the connection on this. Way back in the day, I used to be a member of a beer meetup group called the Boca Beer Lovers. Kevin would go to some of those sometimes. He would also be bartending at some of those at the old Buddha Lounge days.
God, you people are terrible.
It was a monthly. This was like
Boca Beer Lovers.
yes.
Okay.
So BBL barrels.
How dare a bunch of people who love craft beer get together once a month to enjoy each other's company? You guys should have been ashamed of yourselves.
It's just a silly name.
Oh, shame.
It's
It's
just
where
a
I met-
silly name. I feel
met Joel
like clubs should
Boca
not have
Beer
silly
Lovers meetup.
names.
But so the gentleman who used to run that meetup group was he was a fellow, a very opinionated fellow, and a lot of times his opinions were very wrong about things. And one such opinion was, and this is very early in my beer days. I was trying to learn about beer. I was trying to get exposure to as much as I can and meet people who were into the same things. It was one like of the meetups for a winter, and we were at the Coffee District. Still a fantastic place to get a beer in Delray Beach. And he was talking about Celebration and how this beer used to be so much better when they used to put coriander in it. Now they don't put coriander in it anymore. And I just kind of like, I was like, oh, okay, like just store that in my memory banks. I'd never had it that way. I have no point of reference. What I am having right now is very good and delicious. And many years later, I came across a post on Beer Advocate of someone talking kind of about the same thing. And someone linked to an interview with the head brewer of Sierra Nevada that was like, this beer has never had any spice added to it ever before. It's only ever been just first harvest hops that we've used. I don't know where this got started. It's kind of funny. But yeah, no, never been. And I was like, that's funny. That dude completely wrong on that. And for
batch one
some
was
reason
better.
wants to hate a beer that is fantastic
So
because it doesn't have a thing that it never had before.
So here's two things I'm going to say about that beer, and that, by the way, it's really dumb because everyone always gets it wrong. One, first time in Kansas 2021, so you were off by like an entire year, and I just want you to like stew in that. I want to understand that you're
I said it was either 2 or 3 years. That's 3.
Okay, that's fair. Still, I heard the 2, and I just lashed out at that. 2. Killed hops, not fresh hops. So the idea that they call this a fresh hop IPA.
They're the first. It's the first harvest of hops that have been kilned. They're still whole cone hops, but they're not
sure,
wet.
but they literally call it fresh hop IPA. Right.
But see, and I remember there being a debate about this on Twitter. I feel like every year is what is the difference between fresh and wet? For the most part, marketing. That's basically it. When you're the first person to use the term, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want with that term.
Sure. But kilned versus dried is a whole other thing too, right? Like using it in an oast. Whatever. Regardless, it's a fucking amazing beer. I'm really happy to drink it. I drink it every year. I'm amazed at how long, even if it's the very first hops out of that batch, I'm amazed how oxidatively stable it is every single year. I can still drink it into April and it doesn't taste old. Like it blows my mind how well they do that. And also, yeah, man, if we're gonna have a holiday episode or something, fuck, you need a celebration. We all need a celebration.
I'm just trying to climb into the minds of the people, the 6 people that listen to this, and they're going, are they going to do a whole hour just on celebration? Is this the topic of the episode?
Yes, I mean, you just heard Tim's type 5 on it, so
I do have a type 5.
He's working on his Netflix special. I'm drinking
anyway.
I'm drinking a Hardywood Park gingerbread porter. This is actually from last year that has been sitting in my fridge. They had a variety pack down here last year that was of the gingerbread stout, the gingerbread porter, and the Christmas morning, which is the gingerbread stout with some extra spices added to it. And I held on to one of the gingerbread porters, which for all intents and purposes is the stout minus lactose. And it says drink fresh, so I was a rebel and didn't. This still tastes fantastic to me. Still a ton of ginger flavor, a ton of cinnamon, and a little touch of like that honey sweetness in it. This is a beer that, like, it's so funny. It used to be such a anything Hardywood Park and gingerbread was like a whale at one point. And then I remember, I think it was Christmas 2019, Trader Joe's had bourbon barrel aged gingerbread stout in all their stores. And I bought like numerous bottles of it. It was like $10 a bottle for a 750. And these beers are like, they're in that pastry stout category of sorts because it's a big, thicker body, but it's not super overboard on flavors. It just gives you everything that I feel like you're expecting out of it. And yeah, I'm drinking a one-year-old version of it, but I feel like fresh, they're pretty good on this too. But how I in Florida can get these beers somehow, I don't get any of their other beers, but somehow have gotten Hardywood gingerbread beers each season, seemingly, in some store.
Okay. I'm sorry. I have to get in here. I am just seething with rage and anger. They have a beer called Christmas Morning.
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. You know who else has a beer called Christmas Morning?
You.
Barrel of fucking Monks. I do my Father Christmas ale with coffee. I've been doing it for years. And you're telling me that a brewery that is wildly more successful than mine, with tons of more distribution, and who probably did the beer first, also has a beer with that same name. I'm furious. I'm going to boycott that brewery forever.
Well, no, I do think it's fair for you to be outraged, because that is probably not a name that anyone else has ever thought of in any way, shape, or form.
That's what I'm saying. I am that is why I'm furious. That is why I am going to take this to my grave. I'm swearing a vendetta for them and anyone else. I'm sure Mike right now is on Untapped and looking at all the beers named Christmas Morning. Yeah. But anyway,
I
was get that out there.
I was in Chicago over the Thanksgiving weekend, after the Thanksgiving weekend. And I went to Old Irving, which is amazing if you get a chance to go to Old Irving. But they have their holiday imperial stout, where they've got a flight of like got marshmallows and strippers and midgets and balloons or whatever and all of those things. It's called Krampus, right? But here's the thing. Everyone, like Southern Tier has a beer called like everyone like Krampus.
Southern Tier hasn't made Krampus for like 5 years now.
Sure, but
that was a great beer.
I would say, but that doesn't mean that like they just surrendered that. Like the idea of like everyone has these beers called Krampus. Like we eventually all understood as breweries, like we used to get like so fucking protective and cease and desist and all of this. Eventually we're like, man, there's like 7 words in the dictionary that are still available for us to name beers. Right? Like it's okay as long as we're not overlapping heavily, right? Like if Budweiser and Miller were both naming a beer, your mom's beer or whatever, I would get why that would be a problem. But like there's like 4 different beers in the Twin Cities right now that are called Dad's beer. And I don't think there is I'll take it another way. I know I'm all over the map. I'll take it another way. I was at a bar once, and someone had McSorley's on tap, and these 2 guys thought they were ordering Surly. Surly and McSorley's very different. My point is the people that are going to be that confused by it aren't the ones that are the difference makers in what your marketing is. I mean, we all like. I don't know how many people know that Miller Lite is trademarked LITE. Light is the word that they're concerned about, right? I get less and less and less concerned about some of that shit. No, like intellectual property is still sort of sacrosanct to me, but like some of these things that are just ubiquitous terms, Krampus, holiday, celebration, Yuletide, Fireside, like all of those things, I'm less concerned about those.
So there are a number of Christmas morning beers. This also leads me to probably a quick little rant that I have probably done before on the show. But the fact that I type in Christmas morning and there are results that come up that have neither Christmas nor morning in them, in either the beer name or the brewery name.
Well, that fucking sucks.
Like it's fucking silly. And one of these beers is called Morning Star. Morning. But the other here's one called Public Pilsner from Terrestrial Brewing Company. That showed up in the results for Christmas morning.
What's the confusion? I see the parallel immediately.
I would expect that to show up. I don't understand why you're so distraught, Mike. Like I feel like it's a you thing.
That beer name has letters.
Anything.
That beer name has letters. It has words. It's in English.
There are multiple syllables. Like, why would you not expect it to show up?
My apologies. I've been proven wrong.
You're just cynical and you're a stickler. And it's not the right time of year for this, Mike. This is a time for us all to get along and love Untapped. It's good. Yeah. It's a good resource and in no way has led to the downfall of craft beer.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a good point to circle back to Kevin with his whoopie pie beer.
So I'm going to...
You've already been drinking from it, and I saw you make a face.
I'm sorry. Whoopie pie, I can't...
I'm going to give...
like giggling like a 12-year-old boy, by the way.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a review, and this will be an honest review of this beer. I'm not trying to, be silly or anything. I'm also not trying to be funny, which is obvious because I'm talking. This beer was surprising to me because when I smelt it, I'm not getting a big adjunct. I'm not getting chocolate. I'm not getting vanilla. I'm not getting sweetness. It actually smells, and it kind of smelled a little off to me. I'm just getting almost like burnt roasted malt, which especially in a milk stout at 6.3%, I just was not expecting. And then on the flavor, the the adjunct ingredients are so subtle. I mean, so subtle. I was trying to look at the can to see if there was a like a brewed on date, thinking maybe this thing's like 2 years old, and all those flavors have kind of muted over time. But I mean, I'm getting this like faint hint of vanilla, a little bit of baker's chocolate. This is a really inoffensive adjunct beer. Um, I'm getting more like burnt roast character than I'd want, especially in a milk stout. I'm not saying that I love this beer. I think this is it's probably unbalanced for what the base beer category is, but it's not an offensive beer for a stout. And even for me, who was kind of making fun of this entire idea of having all these adjuncts and whatnot, I'm drinking this going, they could have used more, which usually not my position. Usually I'd be saying, be more subtle. But I also don't know there. I cannot find a date anywhere on the can, which
Not surprising.
that's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a kind of inoffensive stout with faint hints of the ingredients they talk about. There's a little bit of what I'm getting on the flavor is almost like a little bit of acrid bitterness, like a harsh bitterness that comes like from the last pulls if you're like doing like fresh espresso.
Like
like
the dregs of espresso, where it's all like
yes,
not necessarily grinds, but it's more like a mushy. Yeah,
I've heard that described as being acrid, and I
yeah,
don't even know what acrid really means. But that's the description I've gotten from people
yeah.
who actually know coffee, and that's what I'm getting out of this. And it's not a lot; it's just a hint of it. So if you gave me this beer without any preconceived notions, I'd go, "Oh yeah, I drink this stout. This is it's not something I would go back to again immediately, but I would not even pick out potentially some of the flavors they put into it." So a little bit enough of a nothing burger as far as, looking for a big adjunct silliness.
I appreciate that, because for me, I always love and more, and listeners from bitter units gonna give me a hard time. I appreciate more of a deft hand. I like more subtlety with things. Like, I still want my beer to taste like beer. And if you can give me a hint, if you can give me a nuance, like, it can't be too subtle. I'm gonna kind of pick on Mike here, as a
Here we go.
no,
For the
no, no,
first
no.
time ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Finally, this asshole's getting his comeuppance.
Yeah. No. So he is a Voodoo Ranger evangelist.
See.
He loves that series. I do too. He's not wrong. Um.
But I also
So
like the ones that you guys do not like.
well, okay. Well, okay. So I got their a autumnal, what are the F it's called, right? So it's got their autumn IPA, which I was worried was going to be too much like a red IPA, and it's not nearly as malty. It's more like a celebration in that vein. It's a lot better. I What I didn't realize was in that pack, because I just wasn't paying enough attention. I was like, you know what, man, I'm just wanting like a couple different kinds of IPA, and I pulled that. And what I didn't realize was in that variety pack, was the Atomic Pumpkin.
Okay,
And,
I haven't
and
had that one.
okay, and so when I got it home, I was like, oh, I hate pumpkin beers. And not even like because I hate pumpkin, but like all the spice. This is like it's something else, right? And so I was like, oh god, this is gonna sit in my fridge forever. And it's like, well, fuck it, let's just give it a try. And it's like, holy shit, this is done way more delicately than I would have expected. And I found
Voodoo Ranger you expect over the top, right?
yeah. And so I was like, oh my god. I can eat this with like pumpkin pie or whatever. I ate some with so I always like to pretend like I'm on a plane, so I always get like a big sleeve of Biscoff and some ginger ale. But I drank some with some Biscoff cookies. And I was like, oh my god, actually really good. I was so amazed at how much I like that beer for a style I hate.
So what is it? What was the base of it? Is it just an amber red ale type of
I
thing?
don't know technically what they call that as.
But Kevin's been shaking his head to this, like nodding his head,
Yeah,
in agreement. Like you've had this beer recently?
I love it. I think it's so good.
Okay.
I share. I mean, listen, my long-standing gripe with the Voodoo Ranger series is I don't think some of their IPAs are IPAs. I think
yeah,
they're something different, and it's a fruit punch beer, and you can like that, and that's great. I have a
yeah,
issue with calling it an IPA.
yeah,
That's that's where I'll stand on this, and I can be wrong.
yeah,
But the quality of the beer, first of all, Voodoo Ranger is fucking great. It's
yeah,
a really, really
yeah,
good beer.
yeah,
The double IPA is fucking great. They're
yeah.
good beers. But that Atomic Pumpkin, I picked it up, months ago when it came out, and I tried it. And you guys know I talk about it all the time on the show. I have to come up with beers every week
Yep.
for the feature from Barrel of Monks.
Yeah.
And one of the things is for Old Favorite Friday is a beer has to be 10 years. I always say it should be at least 10 years old and widely available. And when I drank that around, Halloween time, the first thing I did was go, I have to feature this beer. This beer is amazing. And
I thought I
I
was
had
gonna
to,
hate it.
yeah. And I had to look up when it came out and it was not 10 years old yet. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't feature it,
You've had
but
not 10-year-old beers on there
oh,
before.
only a few. I've done it. I've done it a few times.
You've had our lager.
I know. I know. I said I'm not saying I haven't done it before. It's been doing it for 3 years, but I
Yeah.
try in general to feature beers that have been around for a longer period of time, and I've tried to be better with that over the last year and a half or so. But anyway, the whole point was I enjoyed the beer so much that I wanted to take what I usually do is 6, 7, 8 minutes to talk about how great it was. So yeah, that beer's great.
Yeah, I was so confused because, like, we all kind of go through your evolution of liking energetic stouts or whatever, and everyone goes through kind of like, oh, pumpkin beers are fun type of thing. I I was so I was so disappointed when I got home and I realized that that was in there, and I was like, oh, these 3 beers are gonna sit in my fridge for a while, and I had one. And I was like, God damn. This is what every one of those beers should have been. Or like when the style of a pumpkin beer was first like created and then everyone went over the top, right? It goes back to more like subtlety, pumpkin spice, nuance, almost like this English pub
Let
ale with
pumpkin be
like.
the flavor and let spice be the supporting character.
And so yeah, well, and it isn't even super pumpkin, like it's just beer flavored beer that is like, I was like, God damn it. I was certain I was not going to like this beer. Uh, that like stupid hubris and anger you get when like you like a beer that you're certain you weren't gonna like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I felt. Like there was this weird conflict in me. It was like,
There's a pumpkin beer that I like that everyone, like my contemporaries, probably hate, and I sometimes feel like I'm stupid for liking this, right? No, it's my flavor, my profile. I can like it.
Are you going to name
But
it?
Pumpkinhead. I haven't had it in years, but back when I was first getting into it, I thought it tasted more like a gingerbread stout or a gingerbread beer than pumpkin, and I liked it for that. But you, Kevin, turned me on to their other pumpkin beer, Smashed Pumpkin, that was way more of a just like good pumpkin beer.
Oh, Smash Pumpkin is like I do love pumpkin beers, and I have like kind of like a floating top 5 of the beers that I enjoy the most in that category. And Smash Pumpkin is in there 100%. Southern Tier Pumpkin, which is bigger, sweeter,
I like their
but I
Warlock, the pumpkin stout.
Warlock's not bad. I don't love the pumpkin stout. I've made a pumpkin stout before, and for whatever reason, it always sounds better in my head than it does in practice. But Elysian, their base pumpkin beer, which is it Night
Night
Owl?
Owl?
Night
Yeah.
Owl. I had that honestly for the first time this year, and I was blown away by how good it was. It was so good, and but also subtle and well balanced and not too sweet. Listen, a
R.I.P.
deft
Elysian.
yeah. A deft hand. I think, Tim, you said that earlier, and I do believe in that. I think sometimes in some styles, it kind of it's almost like Christmas beers, right? Like the Belgian Christmas ale. Uh, it almost begs for a little more sweetness, maybe a little more spicing than I would traditionally do, and even a spiced beer. And it almost feels right for the style. I think with
Yeah,
pumpkin beers, I'm okay with a little bit of extra sweetness, which I'm normally not okay with almost any other style of beer,
but it,
other
it,
than
it but it
something like Christmas
fits.
beer.
It
It,
fits, right?
it fits that kind of segment that I'm going for, and I give them a little bit more leash to play around in that style. And when they're done really really well, I mean they're just fucking spectacular.
Well, it's like pumpkin and gourd and like all of that. Like they're generally used as desserty, so I don't mind if they're overly sweet. I don't mind like my favorite pumpkin beers have zero pumpkin in them. They are just like pumpkin spice, like the things I want in a pumpkin pie. And that's why I usually like those.
So you
I
like more spice heavy?
well, not spice heavy, but more like evokes. Because I don't want to have because gourd gets almost too a little green. It almost starts to fight. I think, right?
Mike,
It
you
can.
don't Mike, you don't have any old cans of Island of Magordo, do you? Because I think he'd love that.
Well,
Oh
and
man.
dude,
Sorry.
I'm
That's
an
an inside thing.
I'm an acorn squash. I'm a pumpkin squash.
I
I'm a
love
summer. I love those types of things. But as far as with beer, what I'm rather trying to get is evoking the season, right? And I think what Atomic Pumpkin does is balance between because that's a beer that I'll drink through New Year's, right? It's not just a Halloween Thanksgiving. It's a very broad. It might be a broader seasonal than a lot of other seasonals that you would have.
I would drink it all winter. I think if I found it still in the store right now, I'd pick the beer up.
Well, because it also has so my favorite winter warmer all time, 21st Amendment Fireside Chat. I don't know if you've ever had
Never had it.
21st Amendment Fireside Chat.
Never had it.
Favorite winter warmer of all time. I literally want to sit in a chair with a flannel blanket over my lap in front of a fireplace drinking that beer. Like that is what that beer means to me. 21st Amendment to me might be my most underappreciated brewery in the entire country just because of what they've done to help me understand different styles, right? Hell or High Watermelon. That's not necessarily my favorite thing, but it taught me so much about that. 21A has done such a good job of getting people to understand what you can do when you bring flavors in without going heavy-handed.
what's their black IPA? Is it just Back in Black?
Yeah, I think it is, right?
But that was an incredible beer.
Right? And they Live Free or Die is one of my
Live Free or
favorites.
Die, yes, or Brew
Right?
Free or Die.
Yeah. But my thing is like what I thought about Atomic Pumpkin is it really felt like Fireside Chat blended into something more autumnal than winter. And that's where I was like, man, I was certain those beers were going to sit in my fridge for months until I had somebody who didn't know what they wanted, who doesn't like beer, to come over. And then I drank all three because I was so impressed by how good it was.
I just want to point out that as you've been discussing this, I almost feel like you've been getting closer and closer to the mic. Your voice has entered a lower and lower register, and it's almost like you're whispering your hopes and dreams into the microphone and talking
Let's
about
get it on.
and talking about being by the
Let's get it
fireside
on.
with a blanket on your lap and I mean, I feel like you're setting up a
Are you
Skinamax.
FDR?
You're going a different way than I was. You're going presidential. I was going for Skinamax porn. I don't know. That just shows where my mind is versus yours, Mike.
So
Over these holiday
I-
seasons,
I can't
ladies and
I can't wait
gentlemen.
till I get a message from Maddie Smooth talking about this beer.
Yeah.
But now I gotta go look because one of the Publixes by me carries Voodoo Ranger variety packs. So I gotta, and I haven't picked one up for a little while. So I gotta go see what they have there. I'm finally cutting down on some of the beers that I've had from the boys' birthday party and Thanksgiving. So I still have half a keg of beer. So that's probably something I should get through before adding a whole lot more beer. But
Yeah, I'm so
I'll look for
grateful.
it.
I'm so grateful to not have like a backlog of beers in my fridge. Like we we've all been there, and I'm not a brewer anymore, so I don't bring home flats of beer all the time. I don't constantly have these things, but also like, man, I know what I like. I know what I don't like. Like I don't need to like. I'm just not a beer collector anymore. I drink through all of my cellar. I still, man, my favorite cellar beer was Tyranina, The Devil Made Me Do It coffee porter. It was the best cellar beer ever.
He's so close to the mic. He's so
never got-
whispering.
Look, if I can see this, my point is,
Should we all start talking lower and whispering? Should we all do Tom Waits voices?
Yeah.
I thought you were doing
Going
Christian
for.
Bale as Batman.
We'll do.
This is
Yeah.
all-
Okay, Mike, you do Bane.
No, I should not do Bane. I'm usually pretty game for doing a bad accent, but I know I can't do that one.
No one can. That's why you do it
No.
perfectly because
I
it's
like-
absolute nonsense.
I like this
What is
United
it?
We Drink After Dark.
Tim, you said something that just sparked something in my brain, which I
Yeah.
think is, we had, I think at one point we had like a topic about this episode, which I'm glad that we're not even sticking to that and we're just talking because I enjoy this. But talking about things about the holiday season or appreciation or whatever, that kind of high-minded, warm-hearted stuff. You said something about the fact that you're no longer brewing beer actively, so you don't have these beers in your fridge, and you just know what you like and appreciating the things that you like. I still work in a brewery. I do it every day, and I do bring beer home. But my weekly, sometimes every other week, journey to beer stores to find beers for the video series we do, I still get this like childlike, which is a weird thing to say about alcohol, but go with me. Childlike appreciation when I see Scaldus Noel hit the store shelves.
Hidden in a
Because
candy store.
No, because I go, oh, it's back. Oh, it's there. A celebration. Oh my God, celebration's here. And I get to pick it up and I get to enjoy it for a time period. And it also happened, it happened months ago when Smutty Nose, Finest Kind IPA and their porter just showed up magically on the shelves for the first time in like 5 years. And I get to go, oh, I get to rediscover this. I get to try this again. I love this beer, or I loved this beer, so let me try it. I think I still have that, and that's just something I really, really appreciate, that I really look forward to, and I probably said this before on the show, but I've gotten people have responded to my videos about other people's beers with mass amounts of confusion of why I'm talking about other people's beer. and saying, "Why are you not talking about your own beer?" It's like, well, we do that all the time.
Why are you not commenting on my other beer post?
Right.
Because at the end of the
I
day,
love this. It's something I enjoy.
at the end of the day, we're beer fans. We make beer because we're fans of beer, right?
Yeah.
It's like you look at any sports talk show. You don't only talk about your team; you talk about the entire sport.
Except Skip
Yeah.
Bayless. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy, especially because like how
What a
mad
fucking
are Skip
Cowboys
Bayless's
homer. Fuck.
how mad are Skip
going off in left field?
how mad are Skip Bayless's parents that they have Rick Bayless's one son who was making the most insane Mexican food that, like, even when I was in Chicago last weekend and I thought they're all tired of Rick Bayless, like, no. Rick Bayless is still fucking awesome on like authentic Mexican food. And then his brother is Skip Bayless. Like, man, they're both successful, but one you want to punch in the face, the other one you want to hug.
They also named their kids Rick and Skip. That's inexcusable.
Well, no, that's true. There is a reason they
could have named him Skip and Zip, but
they could have.
That would have been a wrestling podcast from back in the day. So, Kevin, to piggyback on what you were saying, because I held up my hand to be like, yes, Total Wine doesn't do that for me so much anymore. Sorry, Ed. That store scares me a lot of times that I go in there because there's, I think, too much beer.
There's good stuff there, Mike. There's good stuff.
I know.
You just got to look for it.
And you got to check date codes. And don't buy stuff that doesn't have date codes on it. But
caps and old dates.
But fuck! I lost my train of thought.
You said Total Wine scares you.
Yeah.
There's some place you go that does not scare you.
You know what? Like, I get excited going to sometimes, like, when it's around reset season for Publix, like seeing new things in there. Whole Foods, like my. So a few weeks ago, when Celebration was coming out, went to their Sierra Nevada's website, go to the beer finder, select Celebration as the product, type in my zip code, find me the stuff nearby. And my local Whole Foods had it in there. So I was like, all right, today's grocery shopping is going to be at Whole Foods so that I can pick that up. And grabbed my 6-pack of Celebration and then kept on looking. And I'm like, and this goes back to the last episode. Ooh, St. Bernardus Christmas in cans? Fuck yeah, I want to try that. And I grabbed one of those too. Like, my local Whole Foods seems to have a really good rotation on some seasonal stuff and always has a bunch of, like, just weird random, like, regional and local stuff in there too. So, like, I feel that way when I go to Whole Foods, and even with the NA stuff, like, this is going to sound almost backhanded, but it is not against the brewery. I was there one time and I saw, like, Athletic Oktoberfest. I'm like, oh shit, I want to try NA Oktoberfest. Took it up to the register. Forgot that it is 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and they won't sell it to me because every Whole Foods, I don't know if it's every Whole Foods, but the cashier told me every Whole Foods in the state of Florida cannot sell beer or wine before 12 p.m. on Sundays. They don't know why. And they also are like, I'm like, well, it's NA. And they're like, yeah, it makes no sense. Like, sorry. The system literally will not let me override this purchase.
I mean, I live in a 3-2 state. Like, are you guys? Do you know what a 3-2 state is, Kevin?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So during Prohibition, they had tried like post prohibition, right? So after prohibition ended, they tried to restrict alcohol sales, and so they had changed some certain jurisdictions that where you could only sell 3.2 alcohol. Now, whoever wrote that law was smart enough to say that it was 3.2 alcohol by weight and not alcohol by volume. So unlike your average light lager or even, Guinness, the regular Guinness stout, 3.2 works out to be like 4.1%. So in our state, gas stations and grocery stores, if you're not going to go into a separate room, if you're just buying it from there, you're buying a 3.2 version of Bud Light, but that's the same strength as the Bud Light you're buying. And so people don't necessarily, even today, like people don't understand that. I was in I got some gas, and I went into to buy a sandwich or something like that. And I went in there, and some guy in front of me was buying like a 16-ounce can, and the guy's like, "Oh, you can go down to the grocery store, and it's going like that's not full strength." And it was Coors Light, and I told him, I was like, "No, dude, that's full strength." They did. Coors Light is not packaging beer separate for the state of Minnesota and nowhere else. They're just selling their beer that also qualifies. Like don't listen. Like they literally think this multinational corporation is creating a separate version of a beer just for the state of Minnesota.
Completely new SKU.
That just shows how like the perception and how people present things so infect the public consciousness.
Yeah.
So I thought that the laws in Florida had been changed. I don't know why I thought this. Maybe it was just I got some bad information somewhere. I used to work in the restaurant industry. One restaurant I worked at in Delray Beach, Florida. This is one of my favorite things that I ever did. It wasn't my idea. Whoever got this idea probably got a raise. But we decided because brunch on Sundays was huge. It was one of the biggest things we did. It was packed. I mean, you had to wait an hour to get in to have brunch, which is, by the way, the dumbest thing ever. Anyone can make waffles, people. But this was a good brunch. It was a better brunch than most. But so
Kevin was there.
No, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but
he's a ray of fucking sunshine.
Like Jim Gaffigan has a whole thing about how brunch was just invented by a drunk.
Yeah. No.
Who couldn't decide if he was having breakfast or lunch, and he's like, brunch. Like, what is that? I don't know. Orange juice? Do you have champagne? Let's do it.
But okay, so that's a good transition. So this is a place that was swamped. I mean, making money hand over fist, but we could not sell. And we opened at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
We could not sell alcohol until noon.
Yeah.
So how do you get around this? Well, we created, someone smart, the Sunday OJ. Sunday OJ, a normal orange juice is $2, but a Sunday OJ is $5 or $6. I can't remember what it was. And we give you the champagne for free.
Oh yeah.
So Sunday OJs, all of a sudden, I mean, 50, 60, 70 of these things being sold between open and noon on a Sunday. And with the margins on not champagne, just the cheapest Prosecco or American sparkling wine you can find, raking it in hand over foot. And
oh yeah. So there were bars here, certain zones in downtown, and I think they've changed a lot because they finally realized it. But they used to be like a certain percentage of your sales has to be food. And like, I'm an Irish pub. I'm not going to hit 50% of my sales has to be food. And so you never bought a beer. You bought a $6 mint that came with a free beer. And so I would leave the bar. Well, especially like, when you get to be a regular, they don't even give you the mint or whatever. But like, I used to leave the bar with like a pocket full of mints. Right?
Okay.
because I was never buying a beer. I was buying a $6 mint for a free beer.
Mike, right now, go to Untapped, pocket full of mints. That's my mint imperial stout, pocket full of mints. Is it there? If it is, there's probably 7 of them. It doesn't matter. Any idea you have, it's been done.
Yeah, but no, seriously, it was so silly. Like I used to talk to Marty, the guy who owned the bar, and he's like, "Man, here's the thing." Like, and they did a decent amount of food. They did like 40% food, and but the regulations in that zone were just prohibitive. You had to be like 60% or something like that. And he was like, well, then I'm selling mints for $6."
Beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. One thing I do want to come back to, Mike. I know we're probably getting to some point, but one thing I want to come back to, that kind of Mike got on earlier is, so the three of us are beer people. Our family has an idea in their head of what beer people is. And over the holidays, they want to give gifts, right? So the number of times I've been gifted a 6-pack that has been wrapped and warm, probably picked off the shelf warm, but wrapped and warm. And it was like, hey, you love beer. Let me give you this warm old beer. Like, have you guys experienced this?
Honestly, no.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many. I've gotten so many 6-packs from family members of, you love beer. Let me give you a holiday. Yeah.
So
You know-
here's where I think the issue is. This is the disconnect for me, not for Mike, probably. I don't have family. Like I don't have people who
people
love
don't
me.
love you. Yeah.
No,
I get that.
other than my wife, my son, and a few other people in my wife's family who know me intimately, like really, really well.
I say,
Well,
your
my
dad.
Okay, listen.
Like, he listens to the show. Say his name.
Frankly, his dad loves me more than he loves Kevin.
Okay.
So let's just put that on the table.
Okay. First of all, thank you for calling out
Tim Abbott.
that woeful omission, but it still goes to show my dad. Listen,
Kevin's
shut
dad.
up.
Did you
Shut up.
understand that Kevin didn't even acknowledge you? I just want to point that out.
Shut up, Tim. Shut up. My dad and the people who are in my life on a regular basis, who are down here in Florida, who are regularly giving me gifts, know me really, really well. They know that giving me a warm beer off the shelf is not going to be something I'm going to enjoy. So I don't get that. I don't have the kind of extended family that is in my life that feels obligated to give me gifts that would go, oh, what does he like? Beer. So here's a warm 6-pack of Budweiser. That's not someone that's in my life.
Okay.
So hence and therefore, that's my justification. You're welcome.
And that's the thing is, I wouldn't get like a warm 6-pack of Budweiser. So, and I sort of blame Boulevard for this. Boulevard used to do like this holiday.
When in doubt, blame Boulevard.
Boulevard used to do this holiday.
It was a cut song from the South Park movie. They went with Canada instead of Boulevard.
Yeah. No, but Boulevard used to do this holiday mix 6-pack, and it was great. But the problem is, it would hit every grocery store, like warm shelf. It was this cute little like foldable cardboard thing, and it would have, Nutcracker Ale and all these other things, and it was great. But the problem is that like every holiday, they'd go buy that on like, November 13th to give it to me on December 24th. It's like, so now that's just been sitting warm wrapped, and some of those beers were great, but some of those beers, because they always put like, one holiday IPA or something in there. And so I used to always get them. I'm like, hey, thank you. You know that I love craft beer and you chose a craft beer, because my in-laws were all Kansas City. It's like, and you know that I love, Boulevard. Like I literally got a tour of Boulevard for knowing Danner. Like Danner hooked me up with, like, I didn't even get to see him, but like he hooked me and my in-laws up with a private tour, and they thought I was swanky and connected and whatever. But at the same time, I would always, I'd get like this Boulevard chocolate ale, which is amazing, but it's not amazing when it's like 2-3 years old type of thing. And so it was one of these things where it's like my in-laws were always really happy to share these neat draft beers or whatever, and I'm like, but it's been sitting warm under the tree for a long time, and I just maybe this is just the way that I work through my relationship with my ex-in-laws. Maybe that's the problem.
We're happy to work through it with you on this show. When you were talking about these, seasonal releases for this, I was just
Yeah.
thinking, did Sam Adams release Old Fezziwig this year?
Did they release it? Did they release it last year? I didn't remember it last year.
There definitely was a recent year that they did not do it.
I don't remember it last year, honestly.
At least two years ago, I know they did. It was in their, holiday 12-pack or whatever it was. And I mean, I remember the classic one with Holiday Porter, great beer, and Old Fezziwig, and that cranberry wheat, or cranberry lambic, I think they called it, which was not a lambic. But I have not seen it. I've been to the stores that would carry it, and I haven't even seen the holiday or winter 12-pack.
So, okay, I'm on their website right now, and it does say that it is out this year in a variety pack. It is called Beers for Cheers, Winter Lager, Holiday White Ale, Old Fezziwig, and OVP, Oaked Vanilla Porter are the beers in that. It's a all canned variety pack.
Okay. I have to check that out. Maybe I'll go to Total tomorrow and pick that up.
Here's a funny little Boulevard story, because this past Black Friday, my family, we went to a late lunch at our local brew pub, Dixie Bar and Grill and Brewery. Big shout out to them. Always love them. My kids love it there. They will ask to go there by name, and I'm always happy to go there because they don't have any of their own beers on right now because they're in the midst of an expansion into the space next door with a new 5-barrel system instead of a 1-barrel system, and I'm super psyched for when that opens up soon. But they also, before they were a prominent beer,
Is Mike cutting out? Mike, you've been cutting out.
I know.
You are cutting out, Mike.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna have to start the story
you a couple
entirely over, and you're ruining the podcast. Frankly, is all I want to say.
I mean, I'm ruining everything. But so they always have a great beer selection, and Black Friday we just happened to be there. They had Bourbon County on tap, the traditional day that comes out. So I ordered one of those after. I had a beer before then, but this was like, usually we'll have a beer before our and with our dinner, and then, or lunch, wherever we're at, and then afterwards we'll have like a dessert beer while the kids continue eating. And I ordered the Bourbon County. My wife saw on the menu Boulevard 25th Anniversary Ale, which was like they every year for their anniversary they do like some big barrel age blending beer. Kevin got me one for my birthday one year that was fantastic, and so she ordered that. So the beers come, and mine looks as advertised, and hers is a clear. And
I feel like it sounds like you're
hers
self-editing.
Clear. That's what we heard.
No, Mike. I've heard say, but I can't think. But
How about now?
Fine.
Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? T-Mobile, yes. See?
I hear you,
no,
Mike.
that was first of all that was Verizon.
It doesn't matter. They're probably the same company by now. We're all under U.S. Mobile, right? Like it's all going to the same people.
Okay,
But-
finish your story.
So she gets a glass of a clear pink liquid to her, and she's like, "I don't think that this is what I ordered." And she's like, and the waitress was like, "The Boulevard," and she's like, "Yeah." And she holds up the menu and she points to it, and then the girl goes, "Oh no, the one right under it." So there's like 2 Boulevard beers. There's actually one of their seltzers that was, and there's the barrel aged beer. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll go get that fixed." And then she comes back. "Oh, we're actually out of the barrel aged beer. That shouldn't have been on the menu. Do you still want this one?" And she's like, "No." Like,
Say, I will drink it because you're going to pour it down a drain otherwise, but I won't pay for it.
but she did not. She did not want that. But
Yeah.
it's actually kind of funny too. We were there the week before, and the manager on duty gave us a round of celebrations for free because one of our kids was having a day. He smacked his head pretty hard at daycare and had this big welt on his forehead, and he was whining and complaining when we came in the door. And she's like, she like super took care of him and was very hands-on with like making him be happy, but she also was like, "This round's on us because you have to deal with him when you get home." And I was like, "Okay, thank you."
All right, so gentlemen, we should probably wrap things up. I have a final question that I want to ask you both that I've thought about myself.
Kevin just poured a beer and you want to wrap it up.
This one's good. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we've been in this kind of heavy. Like, I don't. You're right. Kevin just poured a beer. We can still talk after this thing is done. That doesn't mean because Kevin poured a beer, we have to be done talking.
That is true.
But what I would say is we should probably wrap things up because our listeners have mostly probably, I don't know, Mike, if you've done these year-end things like I did my Spotify Wrapped.
Mhm.
If you've done like a United We Drink Wrapped.
Yep. Did it today.
I was saying, I bet you did. I'm not caught up on the social.
Ralph is our number one listener.
Okay. Wait, who was?
Is that true?
I honestly, I do not know if that is true, but he is one of the top. That is for sure. He sent me his info, and then I looked at ours. We have 7 people who have listened to like every episode this year, and Ralph is one of them.
I say so. What I will say. Oh no, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I just have to say this because you mentioned Ralph. The fact that he can listen to my bullshit every day, and this voice telling him to do things he doesn't want to do and probably shouldn't, quite honestly, and then listen to our show. Ralph, you listen to every show, so you're here. You have the patience of a saint, and you are my personal hero. You don't have to listen to this if you don't want to. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I was gonna say so. Eric Hild. After
We're his number 3 podcast.
Yeah. I was gonna say after. Yeah, you saw that, right? It was his number 3. But like literally after our last episode dropped last Thursday or whatever, right? It dropped on Thanksgiving Day, didn't it?
The day before Thanksgiving.
Day before, yeah. He sent me a text message that was like, "Oh man, I'm really grateful for you too." Like, it wasn't that
and
I
you forgot that you had said something about him.
I kind of half forgot that I had said it. Well, I'm like, I know because I love the man and I will always say anything. But like, it is really funny that we have these guys that are such loyal listeners.
Oh, it was
Eric means the world to me because I love that band with an all-consuming passion. You guys have talked to that man. He might be one of my favorite people in all of brewing history because he just like like we've had guests on here that are like overly optimistic, right? Oh, who are super positive and super forward. That's not necessarily what Eric's about. Like it's not about his positivity. It's about his care for the people around him. That's what makes him awesome.
yeah. I mean, Eric is absolutely good people. Top 10, maybe top 5. I shouldn't be.
I
like,
need. I need.
Are you ranking people now?
Yeah.
Is that what
Oh,
we've
Yeah,
come
yeah.
down
I'm
to?
always ranking people.
No. I
Just don't
need.
say it out loud, Mike.
I need to
give
I
good
need to
advice.
hijack him, but I do need to hijack him and come down to Florida. Or uh
Yeah,
crazy idea. United We Drink goes remote and we go record somewhere else.
in the Midwest.
Well, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be Minneapolis. I love it in Minneapolis, it'd be great. But we could go we could all meet up in Chicago. We could meet up in like Grand Rapids.
Tim's like, that's ridiculous. We can go to St. Paul.
Yeah.
That's fine. What are you talking about? I can meet you halfway.
But yes, okay. So my question is we all have family that don't entirely understand what we do. Right? We all have
Sure.
family who think it's awesome that we make beer or something like that. We also have listeners that probably don't work in the industry. What are ideal gifts to give people who work at breweries?
Gift card,
Gift card to what?
liquor store, or good beer bar, good beer restaurant, like gastropubby type of shit. Like I always dig that. And most of and to go back to that conversation earlier, like that's usually been the go-to with a lot of people for me is get me Total Wine gift cards or get me gift cards to a restaurant that has a really good beer selection. I once got a fucking beer helmet from my mother-in-law. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so here's the thing: is like these people who don't know.
She just thought it would be funny,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay.
But they don't entirely understand that like the earnesty of their heart is saying, I want to give like, oh man, that guy loves beer.
But at the same time, this is the same person who also got me a bottle of Willette once before as a
awesome.
Christmas present, and that was a fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah,
gift. But yeah, I just appreciate like if you're gonna look for that in me, like gift card. I am not opposed to gift cards. Like I am not one of those people who are like, that's cheap. It's a cheap way out.
No. I'm not. I'm not gonna spend it on myself. So it's great that you gave me an excuse to spend it. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like even this year, my mother-in-law asked my wife what to get me, and I said like instead of like something like that, it's like give me a gift card to B&H. For those who don't know, it's big online. They have a legitimate store in New York, but photography store. Like everything you can think of photography wise they carry, and I was like, you know what, like help me upgrade some of my gear by just giving me a gift certificate to there, and that would be much appreciated instead of saying a specific thing, because
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure sometimes too to be like, here's a thing and here's a specific thing. Like it doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah,
Like just
but also an all day pass to brownie fest because you're a huge brownie. Like you
I
love.
heard brownie at first, and then the second time you said it, I'm like, oh, you said brownie.
Yeah.
Uh, and when you said brownie at first, I was like, oh, the dessert or the little impish people from Willow. But
I was thank you for not going like 5-year-old girls. So
I've
okay, so no, I appreciate what you're saying about the gift card, but like say you're in a white elephant gift exchange. What's a little kind of trinket or something like that you would like? That still like they can say, "Hey, I recognize you're a beer person."
Can I say this? I feel like this is a little bit like the classic did we drink question about your order at Taco Bell when some people that were
we haven't
not
done that
ready.
in a while.
Yeah,
We
I know,
haven't
but
done
some
that.
people who
That's
are not
great.
ready for that and they're like, I don't fucking know. I haven't eaten a Taco Bell in 25 years. And then you have to like, I don't know, a taco. Uh I, I will say this. My answer to this has nothing to do with a white elephant. It has nothing to do with craft beer stuff in general. We contain multitudes, and people who work in the craft beer industry specifically have a lot of things that they are interested in outside of the craft beer industry.
Mhm.
And the best gifts that I've gotten from my family are people who have been thoughtfully thinking of the things that are not part of my job that I probably don't want to be thinking about every day. My dad specifically, for Christmas, for birthdays, for things, he sends me stuff related to Bruce Springsteen, an artist that we love together and
Yep.
that I grew up on. He sends me random Monty Python stickers, not even for gifts for holidays. He just sends them to me.
Yeah.
He sends me things about Jim Cornette and old school professional wrestling.
Sure.
So my suggestion, and this is not answering your question, by the way, and I apologize for that, Tim.
No.
But my suggestion is that we look at the things that we do for a living, which are great. I have said this for 15 years now. It is the best job that I have ever had. It may end up being, at the time of my death, the best job I ever do have.
Yeah.
I am lucky to have done it. I have enjoyed it. I have appreciated it. There is artistic merit to it. And I have been able to express myself in a way I never thought I would be before. But when I go home, as much as I love to go into Total Wine and More foods and find a great beer and really appreciate it and talk with you guys about it and do a podcast about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, I want to express myself in other ways with music and television and other interests.
Sure.
And if you are a person who loves someone in the craft beer industry, they might feel the same way. So connect with them on something that they do in their free time, not what they do 9 to 5.
That is actually the most perfect answer, honestly, because I know, Allie's aunt Karen probably tried to connect with you from a beer perspective, right? Like, there's so many times where like people go, "Oh, well, because I get it. I struggle sometimes with in-law or extended family or whatever. It's like, what do I get them? Like, I don't know what to get them. Oh, well, what are they into? Oh, they work in craft beer, blah, 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 right? And so what you're saying, Kevin, to me is maybe the best part is everyone knows you as the craft beer guy. The best gift you can give me is something that isn't craft beer. Essentially.
Something thoughtful about you. I
Yeah.
think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think that's kind of brilliant. Yeah, and so maybe that's the thing. Like, hey, listeners, maybe you're not a brewer, but you love beer, and you know someone who loves beer. Give them anything but beer.
So if any of you want to pay for the landscaping of my front yard early next year, that is what you can give me.
Do you have
This is
yards
turned into
in Florida?
This just turned into a GoFundMe? Is that
Yeah,
what this
yeah,
just
it kinda
happened?
did.
No,
Good.
I'm just
Good for you, Michael.
throwing out gift ideas there.
If any of you would like to pay for my daughter's college fund,
Let's be serious. There isn't going to be college by the time that she's of age for that.
I really hope she's going to be a welder. I'm going to teach her welding. I want her to get a solid trade that we're
skilled
always
trade,
going to
man.
need, right? Like seriously, yeah. By
I mean,
by the way, like
she's already into fishing and like
Yeah.
she's a pretty
Fishing,
handy
welding,
girl,
they're
right?
basically the same thing.
well, I mean,
Both-
she's
It doesn't take a whole lot of extra steps.
I mean, she's gonna be a vet and she'll be entirely fine. I just can't afford to pay for it, but her mother will. But I do like I was talking to my parents about this today. Is like, I have a master's degree, and you know what jobs I miss the most?
Being master.
Building things with my hands. Like I literally I wish I would have taken all the shop classes and all the ag engineering classes and if I could do it all over again, I'd be an ag engineer as my master's or my bachelor's degree.
And you could have made Mythbusters with Adam Savage.
I could have, right? And so like I was talking to a guy tonight.
Adam and Tim instead of Adam and Jamie.
It's
yeah,
really you're just lazy. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have done it.
Yeah. But so I was talking to a guy who does he works for the Science Museum here, but they do like all the fabrication of all the different displays and the animatronics and everything for science centers all over the country. And I was like, you know what I miss? It's like these weird solutions engineering, like let me find my favorite thing about brewing beer wasn't fucking being on the brew deck. Who the fuck gives two shits about the brew deck? It was all these other like little weird things I had to figure out. It's like, oh, our heat exchanger isn't working this way, so how do we do this? Or, oh, maybe we need to find a different way to mix in our fruit puree so there's less sediment. Or, oh, maybe I need to like those things were the things that I always loved about brewing. It wasn't about like don't get me wrong. I was proud of the recipes I made and the way we made them. To me, it was all like the silly little things that I've always loved and what I have missed since I have left brewing. I know I'm still in the beverage industry, but the thing that I really desperately miss is kind of that more solutions engineering. I miss solutions engineering.
When I was in the brewery last week, I was it Black? No, I wasn't in Black Friday. I was in the day before Thanksgiving, and just like I always like to walk around the brewery. I talk to the people in the cellar and whatnot, and I saw one of the cellar guys kegging beer, and he had a completely different like manifold set up for his kegging rig than I ever had, and I was just like. And it was such a simple little addition to what I had previously done. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, that's pretty ingenious. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
And he also, like, this is this dude, he's worked in breweries before, and he just recently moved down to Florida. Super psyched to have him. But he then says, he's like, yeah, one of the places I was at before, we had a legitimate octopus. And I was like, I haven't heard anyone call a kegging rig an octopus in a long ass time. I don't know if you guys ever.
Oh, no,
had.
exactly, because you got it's multiple couplers on the end of
keys and crosses, and
Yep.
I was like, dude, no one has said octopus to me in a brewing facility in such a long time, and you just made my fucking day. Not only by like improving on what I had before, but just like you made me so happy. And it's there, like the first person who ever came up with like the manifold setup for a fucking knockout or a transfer or whatever, like there's always little things that you can do to adjust those and make them better for your system. They might not work for everyone else's system, but like I get what you mean, Tim, is like coming up with these weird contraptions and setups for what makes your day better and easier. And
Yeah, do you remember when I worked at Dashfire and I would show you guys that um that pasteurizer that I had built?
I don't remember
With
that.
Oh, so no, so I had built this like thing in an IBC tote with I had built this entire manifold with 4 spray balls, and then I had built uh basically it was like it was like a giant rim system. So I had this cannon with he- a, a heat manifold, and so you could make this recirculating thing so that you could take all those bottles from ambient up to pasteurizing so they wouldn't explode and everything. I swear to God, if I send you the pictures, you would know, which is
Okay.
this is really good for podcast format. But my point is,
That's
is that
that's what
like
we
for
should change the
me,
name of this podcast to. Is this is really good for podcast format?
yeah, it's called United. I wish you could see this. Uh, but no, like for me, all of that was like me finding these weird solutions that like a problem that you wouldn't have even foreseen, right? So like I don't
I mean, that
excel
is craft brewing, really,
oh for
right?
sure. But like I don't excel in like necessarily foreseeing things and being ahead of them. Excel really good in okay, here's the fucking shit we're in the middle of now. How were we going to find a creative solution around that? And so that to me has been kind of one of my favorite things.
And being able to have be given the uh trust that, like, okay, we're in this pickle right now, how do we get out of it? Well, here's my idea that you throw out there and go, all right, let's do it. um Excuse me, not everyone is always afforded that capabilities.
Yeah.
Those aren't words. How I said that. But
Yeah.
like it takes a really good mind to be highly involved in the brewing side of things. Like, you're not just pushing buttons on a brew deck and throwing grain into a mill and all of that. Like,
You have to understand the entire process, but still be able to get into the nuance of this doesn't
mechanically
fucking work.
inclined
Yeah.
is what I have put on job posts before for
Yeah.
brewing and cellar people.
And that's it's great to put into job posts. It's a lot harder to capture in real time, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like
Yeah.
I would always ask in that scenario, like, give me an example where everything you had didn't work out. How did you address that situation? Like how did you assess what the problem was? What was the creative solution that you came up for? Like what are the other factors that you hadn't figured? Cuz a lot of times what happens, right, is like everything works perfectly fine except for this 1%. But the problem is that 1% sometimes becomes the 99% of the holdup in your brewery, right? This thing that like man, that's not gonna
Always
happen.
the toughest things that happen are the things that you don't expect and aren't usually in your traditional preventative maintenance thing. Like,
Yeah.
like how often do you expect that all 3 guys who are working in the brewery are having their shift beers at 6 p.m. on a Friday, and one of the fucking CO2 lines that is attached to the fucking ceiling pops out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and you're like, what the fuck do we do right now? Because that's fucking happened to me.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, and
like,
so I actually built in like redundancies so when I was uh Dashfire, I literally built in redundancies of where you can cut that CO2 off for exactly that reason. because we lost an entire, what was that, like a 4,000 gallon tank of CO2 because one line popped.
Yeah. And luckily we did have some of those. And I just like real quick was like, where's this going? Where's this going? Where's this going? And I was like, oh, here's a valve. All right, close it. And but yeah, like being able to just think on your feet like that is important as fuck. And I don't know what this has to do with Christmas at this point, but who
I
the
don't know.
fuck
I don't
cares?
know. I also love that you don't have glottal T's. It's my favorite thing about your accent.
What was that?
You don't have glottal T's.
What did you say?
You
Did
don't
you
have.
you just turn Scandinavian, or like are you speaking a different language?
No, I'm talking from a linguistic standpoint. You don't have glottal T's. It isn't.
You keep saying that, and Mike is telling you he doesn't know what that means.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I
neither
don't-
do I.
So the way you say important, say important.
Important. I don't have the T in the middle. Is that it?
Important.
Well, there's not an aspirated T, baby. You actually, yeah, your T isn't aspirated.
Okay, Mike. This episode is called Free Association, and
You
this is-
guys, you just want to talk about some water over here, and we'll go home and like.
We should
you
just
want to
get
get
into
you want to get
last
my fucking
calls.
accent out? Is that what you're trying to do?
We should just get into last calls, you motherfuckers. I love you both. Let's just fucking end this thing. By the way, I'm an hour behind you. The fact that you guys are still like eager to talk at this hour of the night.
I will be honest. 10 o'clock. Seeing 10 o'clock at the PM is a rare thing for me. It's probably a once or twice a week thing for me at this point in time.
I stay up till midnight pretty much every night,
I don't know how the fuck
and
you do that.
still get up around 6:30 in the morning every day.
Is this why you look this old at the age of 26?
If you thought I was 26, that would be very, very good for me. Quite honestly,
I really wish Mike would have laughed as hard on the mic as he did on his face.
All right, let's get into last calls, the point in the show where we give each other an unspecific amount of time to talk about whatever it is that we want. These are the last calls of 2024. So make sure that we know that the rules are no interruptions, no opposition, no there's another one in there, but I don't fucking care. I'm on some rye right now. So Kevin, last call.
So this episode, at least in conception, was supposed to talk in some way, shape, or form about Christmas or the Christmas holiday season. And by the way, the fact that we didn't, even better. Like I said, free association is wonderful. But I wanted to keep with that theme. And one of my favorite holiday traditions is watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the original claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I grew up with that show. I grew up with it being played by one of the networks every single year. And you had to like sit down, for anyone who's maybe a little bit younger than me that might be listening to this. We didn't have streaming. You had to just sit down in like ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever it was, and sit down and plan to watch it. And I love that show. I love Christmas. We were talking a little bit earlier. You guys were talking about like Christmas lights and stuff. It took me 14 hours over 2 days to put my Christmas lights up. For as somebody who is considered a Grinch in some ways and considered curmudgeonly, Christmas is my favorite time of year. I am so nostalgic for Frosty the Snowman and all the classic Christmas shows. And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is objectively horrible in many ways. It basically teaches us is that you are an outcast until you can be useful. It is not a good message. It's a great, great show. It's a great TV movie. I guess it would be a special, whatever you want to call it, that I have such a nostalgia for. And I've shown to my son every year. And one of the things that I'm just perplexed by is that we have these classic pieces of media We have classic comedies, we have movies, we have things that have kind of the things that are problematic in today's world. And by the way, rightfully so. Teaching children that you have to be useful if you look weird to be accepted is a terrible idea. But what you can do if you're someone like myself who has nostalgia for this, that appreciates this on some level, is you can use it to teach your kids. You can say, and you can watch this and get all the warm and fuzzies about it and enjoy all the wholesome aspects of it and go, hey, by the way, what did we learn from this? What are the problems with this? And you can do that across all aspects of culture. Saying that we need to isolate things and not have them be there or not show them to people because they have problematic ideas misses the point of the fact that we're always learning new things about our culture and how we interact with one another. We can do both. We can value that history for those of us who grew up with that, while saying that the things that you're seeing are in some ways not acceptable. You can listen to Baby It's Cold Outside and enjoy the melody and understand that it's essentially date rape. And you can say that this is not an acceptable way to put forth ideas and have interpersonal relationships, but still enjoy it for what it is. Just in the same way that I listen to overtly religious holiday songs as an adamant atheist and still really, really appreciate them. Even though I think the ideas that they're preaching are terrible and poisonous for society. We can have it both ways if we're looking at this in a way of being teachable and understanding where the problems lie, and we don't have to isolate these things and put them in a box and bury them under the ground. But we also can't ignore the fact that they have these problems. It's not cancel culture. It's not any of those things. You can do both. Merry Christmas.
Hear, hear. I wanted to talk about one of my there. Thanks. I think I'm back now. A Christmas special that was near and dear to me as a child that you can find on YouTube, but not on any major streaming service anymore. And that is a special called A Muppet Family Christmas. Tim throwing up an O face on that one. This special came out in 1987 and was an important part of my upbringing, as our family typically right after Thanksgiving, we would go and spend a weekend in the slightly upper half of eastern Pennsylvania to go visit a place called Christmas Village in Burnsville, Pennsylvania. Pretty much just a big festival thing put on a farm with reindeer and shops and what I was told at the time, the real Santa Claus was there. But Muppet Family Christmas was always a part of what we would do for that. And we would see it on the television. And it was a special that involved the Muppets, Sesame Street characters, and the Fraggles, all creations by Jim Henson. But all now currently, like, they were at the time under different licensing groups and brought together for a very special thing. But now the big reason that this show is not really seen very often is licensing on the songs that were included in the show. It's weird but fun to see these characters that you all kind of knew as these puppets that were a part of my upbringing and culture, being a kid of the 80s, coming together, seeing Kermit the Frog well, that's probably a bad example because Kermit was in early Sesame Street seasons, but seeing Fozzie Bear interact with people from Sesame Street, interact with Fraggles, it's such a fun story that we so much enjoyed in my family. And like for those of you who have been longtime listeners, you know that last year I lost my brother, who was a huge fan of that special, and I mean, every Christmas we always, especially living in PA, we always said, "Watch out for the icy patch." The running gimmick in that special where everyone slipped on a patch of ice coming into the front door. It, like I said, you can go to YouTube and you can watch it. You can find like pirated versions and all of that on there. Do it, and especially if you're a fan of the Muppets, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, all of that stuff, and you're looking for something new and not your typical shit that's being pushed out to you every year on Christmas. Because yeah, Christmas movies fucking rock. Christmas specials fucking rock. So like for me, go watch that. Please enjoy, and Merry fucking Christmas and a Happy New Year. Tim?
Wow. You guys have both set some very weird precedents for this. I know I'm not supposed to respond to either of those last calls. I just felt burdened by that, I guess. So I have recently come back on the socials. I don't know how many of you know that I was on the Twitters, and a year ago I decided to completely abandon the socials and not be a part of anything. I think I was struggling with just the time it took and the energy and feeling like I was in an echo chamber. I like beer Twitter was an echo chamber. But last weekend I was able to go to Chicago and spend an entire weekend with someone who I only knew from social media, and that I was thinking the entire time while I was doing that, and then I got to meet Ben Off Color, who I only know through social media. Then I started to sit back here and I realized the only reason I'm on this podcast is because I know people through social media. So as much as I hate that echo chamber, I also have to understand there's a huge community. So I don't know that I'm still going to be on Blue Sky for that long or how long. It's very much a double-edged sword. But what I do know is that the people who have stuck with me and who have helped me, so I told you I was grateful for Eric Hild. Eric Hild and I wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for social media, right? Mike and I wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for social media. Kevin doesn't understand how the internet works.
I do not.
Uninterrupted, Kevin. Do you not know how this works?
Sorry.
But no. The reality is as much as I hate the concept, and as much as like I have struggled and made bad decisions on social media. That's like it's easy to make bad decisions. The reality is that there is this entire community that I realized, right? Like I had the best weekend last weekend. It was so good and it made me feel so good and I learned so much. I get these people and right then, like I went to Off Color and I ran into Ben and Ben was like, you know what, man? Like I get where you're coming from. You should like look at the blue sky. It's like what Twitter used to be before Twitter turned into X. Like it just reminded me of, like some of the relationships. And since I've gotten back on, like since I've joined Blue Sky, people have reached out and been like, "Holy shit, you're here! Let's talk." It reminded me that like my presence in a community is important. And I grew up in a small town and I never felt like a part of a small town. And what was Beer Twitter, which is now called Brew Sky, I think. I don't fucking know. But the idea is that a sense of community is important. And when you can find your place in a sense of community, I think what we all need as social beings, right? Like we're all like, you can be introverted as fuck. We're all social beings. And what I've learned is like, I need to figure out that what that balance is. So I don't know if I'm going to be on Blue Sky forever. What I do know is that the great equalizer of all of humanity is the internet, right? One of my favorite things about the internet is that it equalizes all across nations and regions and countries and whatever. What I all know is the reason why Kevin and I know each other is because of the internet. There's no other way in that, like in 1997, there's no reason we would have known each other. And we would have thought of each other in different social strata or castes or whatever. Uh, I'm still learning. I'm 40 years old, and I'm still trying to figure out how you manage the internet. But what I know is that sometimes the best relationships you can find, some of the things that are most wholesome, like I got to go to Chinatown, I got to visit breweries, all because of this person that I only know because of the internet. And I think we're nothing without our community is maybe the sharpest way I can sum that up. Is understand that community means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and don't let anyone ever tell you what community is, but know that community is important.
Here. So you want to plug your Blue Sky account?
Yeah, I am Tim Johnson MN, like I used to be on Twitter. You can find me on Tim Johnson MN .bluesky Fezziwig dot. So I don't know how like the whole
All of the
Blue
extra
Sky,
extensions is weird.
all of
but
the I do not like the way that works. Like, and I
Yeah.
had a Blue Sky
But-
account like
but for
way
real-
back. What? Yeah.
Who sent you the invite?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So way back in the day, Mike sent me this invite to get me on Blue Sky, and so I guess
You
what I'm
joined
saying,
and then you deleted.
sure. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you want to blame anyone for any of my content, it
all my
is
fault.
Mike. But like I don't know. But if you want to interact with me, what you do is you follow the United We Drink account, on Blue Sky, and occasionally Mike will probably repost,
You can
whatever.
just type in Tim Johnson MN and you will show up. You don't need that stuff on the end. I don't know why the system requires that to be visible, but like as long as you get that first bit of it, like
no,
you find the person.
I mostly want people to only follow United We Drink because no one needs to see my content. My content is mostly going to be really bad dad jokes. A picture of my fucking awesome daughter with who constantly dyes her hair purple, and I don't know, picture me drinking beer at a brewery. Which is a lot more content than Kevin puts out. So yeah.
100% more content than I put out.
On Kevin, because Kevin puts out a lot of content on at Barrel of Monks,
I do. There's lots of videos,
especially
of
on
me.
Fridays.
There's videos of me doing beer pairings with food. There's a lot of things. Mike, you're about to ask me if I want to plug anything because I know I can read your mind
Your hairs.
in this.
Get out of my head.
I do not want to plug anything from Barrel of Monks. Not that any of you people would drink any of that crap anyway. What I want to plug is I have fallen in love. Mike, you talked a little bit about NA beer earlier. Ted Seegers. This is my favorite regular NA beer. It's a beer that is involved in some way with Dax Shepard.
Okay.
When I came about this beer, I had not tried it until my brother-in-law told me about it. And I know Dax Shepard's from Michigan, and I said, Ted Seegers. Is that like a Bob Seger, Ted Nugent reference? Because they're both from Michigan. And then I looked at the can, I said, oh, that's the elk and the moose from the Michigan state flag. Oh, I guess my Michigan cred is still strong, even though I left there over 20 years ago. And at least the Google AI tells me that, yes, it is a reference to Ted Nugent and Bob Seger, and it is the elk and moose from the Michigan state flag. So it's actually produced, if you believe the can, in Chicago, Illinois. So there's some confusion there. But anyway, this is one of my favorite light, easy drinking lagers. It doesn't have that really weird sweetness, that artificial sweetness that comes off of some of these beers. I just really love it. And I like having it in my fridge, and I like being able to cap off a night with it. And I like Dax Shepard. I like his wife. I think they're good folks. So if you're looking for an NA beer, Ted Seegers, you could do a lot worse than that. And you're also in some ways supporting at least some decent Michigan culture. Bob Seger, amazing. Ted Nugent, batshit fucking crazy. But there it is.
I know Kid Rock was running for Senate once, and Bob Seger would have run against him, but he was too busy running against the wind.
Good for you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Come on, come on! Don't pretend like that wasn't like at least like a 6.4 joke.
No, that was good. I'm telling you, good for you. I appreciate that. I mean, Bob had the fire inside, but
I pulled up Ted Seeger's website and went to their beer finder, the Find Ted page, and go to Florida, and it's like, oh, Sprouts in Boca Raton has it. Sprouts in Delray Beach has it. Sprouts in Boynton Beach has it. Sprouts in Jupiter has it. Does the Sprouts in West Palm Beach have it? No.
Nope.
So
I got this at Total Wine and More. I know I.
Oh, really?
Total
Okay.
Wine, like,
so that's not no Total Wines are on there. So I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I used to have a Rob Seeger bit, but then I remember that Saturday Night Live had a joke with
Rob Schneider.
No, with
was he a stapler?
Jeff Goldblum, where he was Vic Ocasek, Rick Ocasek's brother, which I thought, like, Rick Ocasek from the Cars. He was Vic Ocasek teaching you rock band camp.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
But the way you started explaining that was very Jeff Goldblum. The way that you were talking about, and then there it was like, and yes.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I just so this is my big plug for the fucking year. It's for all of our sake.
Yep.
Go to our website, unitedwedrink.com, and on the top you're going to see a link for brands we love. Go there, and you're going to see things like American Homebrewers Association, Athletic Brewing, Beer Drop, Flavier, Made In, Trade Coffee, Northern Brewer. Go to any of these places, buy stuff. We get a kickback on it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's fucking affiliates. But you know what that does? It helps pay for our hosting. Like, to put shows out like this, we got to pay for that stuff. And the less that we have to pay for it, the better it is. We don't make any fucking money off of this shit. So we don't have a whole lot of stuff on there because I am a firm believer in not putting out bullshit. I only want to put out things that I actually believe in, and a lot of those are the ones that I said. Like
made in cookware, I am a fucking fan of.
I have over a dozen pieces of made in cookware in my house. Like their stuff is good. My wife asked me what I want for my birthday coming up, and I said, like,
You said
we
a
have
gift
a
card?
what?
You said a gift card?
No, I said I said a smaller nonstick pan, because we have a really big nonstick pan right now that is a little annoying for some smaller, like for just doing 2 eggs in
Yeah.
it, like scrambled eggs is a little annoying. So
Yep.
I would rather have a smaller one. I was like, like a 10-inch nonstick pan would be great for that. Trade Coffee. I have been a subscriber to Trade Coffee for going on 2 years now. I get coffee delivered to my house every 2 weeks to like from all over the country, and I've learned about fucking awesome coffee roasters such as Cafe Vista, Cafe Vita up in Seattle. There's just so many amazing coffees. You can put in your preferences on what you like flavor wise, how you like to brew your coffee, and they find matches for you. And will, like, you could say once every week, 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever. If you have too much coffee, you can be like, hey, let me skip this order. It's so fucking cool. I am such a fan of it. I even get stuff from like I just got a batch from Panther Coffee from Miami, who's not very far from me, and I can get in Whole Foods. But you know what? Like this stuff supports locals, and they're all about small indie roasters, and I love it. So please check that out if you're a coffee fan, but just like in general, go there. That's one of the best ways to support the show in this giving season. But also, I would like to say, if you are feeling giving, we have previously done our live streams for Feeding America. Give to Feeding America. Give to your local branch of Feeding. There are regional branches of Feeding America. We have a Feeding South Florida down here. So look for that. Your local food banks, things like that. Please donate, give, because 'tis the season, but also do it year round. I know I went off on a tangent there for plugging stuff, but this is our last episode for the year, and we'll be back in 2025. I don't know if new and invigorated or whatnot, but we'll be here.
I'll wear pants.
I promise to be invigorated. That is my promise.
1/3 of the show will be invigorated.
Kevin Newland approved.
I have been taking a lot of Invigoron, and the Bonnie berries themselves are amazing.
Is that an ED med?
No, that is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I know.
You know,
You do?
I
Oh,
actually speaking of ED meds, I'm very disappointed that my Wrapped for our podcast has said that the number one podcast that our listeners listen to is Joe Rogan. Get the fuck off that shit.
Yeah, seriously, like who is listening to both us and Joe Rogan? That's the
fact that also that Spotify thinks like, hey, here are other podcasts that your fans listen to. Don't give me that shit because it just gets me mad. But also, we have 23 people we are our top 5 podcasts listened to, and there are 7 people who we are their number one podcasts on Spotify. This is on Spotify only because it's
Thank you, former co-host Joel, who probably listens to this. Thank you, Eric Hild, for
No,
actually
we're
paying
Eric
attention.
Hild's number 3 podcast behind Don't Drink Beer, and I don't remember what the other one is.
Yeah.
But we are
I
definitely Ralph's number 1 podcast. He did tell me
Yeah,
that today.
yeah.
So thank you, Ralph. He's like my only competition is Kevin's dad.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah,
I'm pretty sure my
yeah.
dad listens to everything on YouTube, so
Yeah,
he
no,
does.
no.
That's what I did
his-
tell
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
No, so that's right. And then the last one is thank you, Russian bot. It means a lot to us.
Da. So anything anyone Tim, do you want to send anything out to everyone for the holidays, New Year, as just a last little thing?
You know what? To all of our listener, I really want to say I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. Holidays are always a struggle for me, but I want to say that these two gentlemen that you can't see, but I can see, and I envy you for not being able to see them.
I'm
Um,
AI.
I am Jesus Christ, Kevin. What? Brilliant but scary teeth.
I'm a looker.
No, I am grateful that we continue to be able to do this fun thing that gives me hope every other weekend or every other Wednesday, and then every other Wednesday I talk to my therapist with like neither here nor there if those are related. I thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful end of 2024, and here is to a better 2025.
Kevin?
Honestly, I mean, I'm a consistently sarcastic person, and I poke a lot of fun at myself and my good friends and co-hosts here. But no, I really do appreciate anyone that checks in with us on a regular basis and cares at all about what we have to say. We do, we do work in the industry. We do have opinions and we have some expertise, but at the end of the day, it's our opinions. It's conjecture. It's not, it's not fact in the way that like you're trying to find out like profound insights.
No,
And the
you're
fact
just
that
all wrong.
and the fact that people actually check in with us and really engage with us and listen to us on a regular basis, I'm really appreciative of that. So thank everybody that that does that. Thank you guys. You're both wonderful, wonderful human beings, and I'm lucky to have you both in my life.
Well, we're all fucked for the next whatever, but have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year before that. No, like,
No,
treat
that's
each other
fine.
good. I like
Neat
for
way
real.
to end this.
Like, if no, I like it's the fucking sarcasm. It's fucking me. Treat each other good. Really think about other people out there. And have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah to like whatever it is that you celebrate. I really hope that you have a fantastic time with family and friends. And yeah, we'll see
Be
you.
excellent to each other.
That really is the truest fucking thing, right? Bill and Ted were right on that. Be excellent to one another.
And George Carlin.
Yes. Here. Cheers.
Cheers.